Alright guys, here's the contents of the box. You can see all of the cable and the mechanical system that lifts it up inside here, as well as the instructions. Here is the grating that is actually going to hold your items up inside of your loft. And then here is the stencil piece that will then fold out and be used to dial in exactly where these will be hung from your ceiling. Alright, so next up, you want to put the stencil up on your ceiling. Now for some people that will be easier than others. I have an older ceiling that's got a lot of dirt on it, and it actually made it easier to just take it and spray paint where those locations need to be. And we used the stencil that was down here. As you can see, just used it to spray paint. Really the four corners is what you need. I mean, by all means, if you could get the stick, put it up there. But in my case, like I said, it was not as easy to get it to stick. So we just spray painted those stencil locations. So now that you have your stencil marked here, and we also came and double checked to make sure that the center of the stud is in between, so we're still good. You still see it traveling over here. We want to take and use a marker or a pen, what works best for you. Since we already colored this black, white's going to work better to show us the difference. Now, we now have this bracket that's going to be the first bracket that we install up there. So we'll take that, we'll place it directly over the black portion as such. Once you got it set, you'll just take your marker inside and mark those circles out so that you know exactly where to drill and put your screws. So these are the bolts you're going to be screwing up inside there, but first you need to drill out these holes because these will actually split your 2x4s if you don't drill them out ahead of time. So I'm going to run an 11/64 drill up through there. Alright, so now we got that. Just double check with your bracket one more time. Put it up there, make sure it lines up with those holes. And you'll start putting in your first screw. The head on these, just so you know, is 13 millimeters. Start with your center one. Now you want to leave a little bit of space, a little bit of slop here, because you need to get all of them in straight. And you need to be able to adjust this left and right to make sure it's perfectly centered with your template. And now they're all up here, I got to be able to move my template now, or move my bracket so it lines up with my template. Then you could go ahead and start tightening down. Alright, so now that we have the other brackets installed, we'll need to put these pulley brackets on the opposing end. So again, if stencil's here, we went ahead and made our marks and then drilled them, double checked to make sure that we had the stud within range, which it is. So now we'll just put this guy up here and we'll take our lag bolts and drive them in. Again, be sure to keep it loose enough so you can make your adjustments to line back up with your stencil. Alright, so now they're all loose, just double check your stencil, you got it right where you need it to be, and then finish driving in each one. Good to go. Alright, now that we have all the brackets in, as you can see, here, there, and then those brackets over there as well are all in. Now we could go ahead and install the crank that's on this side. We'll put that in the beam along with the crank. It's all in one piece, and it has all the cables that then shoot across. and then down off of these pulleys. So that's next. All right, so now you have the brackets up, you're gonna go ahead and insert on this end, and then you'll come over to this opposite side, and it slides here in the middle until you get it right inside. And there you go, now they're in place. And then we'll come back, and there's little screws that you put on each side that tighten them down. All right, then next up, once these are in place, you're gonna come back with this bolt. You're gonna run it through on this side, and then tighten it down with the nut. It is a nylon safety nut. You'll come back, tighten on both sides, and then on this side as well, you'll place this in like so, and tighten down as well. And the purpose for these two is so that if for whatever reason this wants to come back together and slide together, it can't go past these bolts. And it's a nice safety measure to make sure it stays in place up above. All right, so now that we have these two sets of wires, you don't want to pick the one with the more wire, cable wire that's inside of it. That's the one that's going to extend over and run through the pulleys. So this one, as you can tell, has more mass to it. And well, we'll take this one first. We'll snip the little zip ties that are on it. And then we'll start to string it out, trying not to tangle this up. All right, so here is the pulley right here. You'll take it like so, pass it on up through the top, then run it down to the bottom here. Making sure that it evenly distributes and lengthens out. And there you have it. You got both of those lined up and now hanging almost to the floor. You're ready to go. You'll go ahead and do that for the exact same thing for the other side, and then you'll get ready for the next step. All right, so these ones that are just below the unit, you'll just go ahead and open these ones up and then drop them down. And just let it hang down. And then we'll prepare for the metal cage. All right, guys, here it is all installed. Put those little J-hooks on that you see down here. Now, a little bit of an issue with those J-hooks is when you pinch it down, they actually tend to bow down. So you have to put a little bit of space in between there. So I put a couple lock washers in certain locations just to make sure that it came together. And then the final step is bringing these cables together. Make sure you separate them well so as they go up through the pulley system and back over, that they don't cross over at any point. Yeah, make sure they just don't tangle. And then when you get to the bottom here, you're going to take them and you're going to double nut them with a washer and tighten them down good and tight. And then here it is, free, kind of floating, ready to go. You see here, here's this little arm. It actually locks everything in place right there so that does not back out. And then you pull out and like so, locks it, unlocks it. Then you hook this in here like so, and they give you a lever, or in my case, you just put a drill on the end of it. But here's the lever. Actually, just runs a little screw through the back. You pick where you want to place it on there. You have 3 different positions depending on how much leverage you need. I imagine for most people this would be just fine. The pulley system, I already tested it, works really good. And then if you have it here with the gun, you can watch me here go at it. Down she goes. And up she goes. And all she does is she just winds along this bar right here to raise and lower via the pulleys. There you have it. This is the FLEXIMOUNTS, as you can see there, and it is their 48 by 48 inch storage rack that you could raise and lower as needed. I mean, I could lower this all the way to the floor, and capacity for it is about 300 pounds. I may or may not show a video. I myself hopped on there to see how well it would hold, and I am under 300 pounds, but yeah, I hopped on there and I was surprised at how well it worked. I expected maybe the gears to run maybe a little bit rough or tight, but it actually did really good. Now, I will have to say that I do have one complaint. It does appear to have a little bit of a sag here underneath, and I think it's just because of the weight. I mean, structure-wise, there is no cross beam or anything going underneath there. I did put some wood underneath there just to kind of help brace it a little bit, to take a little bit of that bend out of the bottom. But all in all, it still holds. It works fine. It goes up and down and allows you to easily remove stuff from above there and bring it back down. So I think it's a good setup. Pricing wise, you're coming about $150 to $175 based off of whether or not it's on sale or not. And then I might have a promo code. I'll put it down below if you guys are interested in getting one for yourself. But yeah, kudos and thanks to FLEXIMOUNTS for sending this out. And I might go grab another one and put it on the other side next to this down there, so I have even more storage over my vehicle. So yeah, worked out pretty good. And you guys can see here is my car. There is the mount. I have plenty of space to bring it down to be able to easily pull stuff off and not damage my car. So let me hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think? Is this a pretty good setup? Would you guys get something for yourself, or do you have something else that you like, or maybe you're interested in checking out? I'm all ears. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.